What's going on, guys? Welcome to episode number 84 here on the Proven Knowledge Podcast. This is the Creator Series. Today I welcomed a Chicago MC. His name is Nehemiah Heckler. I've been in contact with Nehemiah for, I believe, 2 years now, probably back to 2019. Oh, man, now 3 years. So 2.5, 3 years, something like that. Probably in 2019, middle of that year, we got connected. And I've just been kind of slowly following his journey. He's been putting out a lot of dope music and dope content. Back in November, he just released Wovember, a brand new EP. We discussed that today. We discussed him getting into hip-hop around the age of 10 when he started rapping and writing songs and everything. And I loved his real detailed stories about his songwriting and how he gets into it, how he really wants to have a huge impact on people when they hear his music. And I think that artists that do that and that are very well thought out in their approach of how they write songs and approach it are really some of my favorite artists. And Nehemiah, I think, is going to be that for a lot of people very soon. He already has a very good fan base and solid foundation. So I'm wishing him all the best of luck moving forward into this new year. He's got a lot of shows. He's working on an album and everything. So it's going to be great to see what he can do. So without further ado, let's get into this episode. Welcome, everyone, to episode 84 here on the Proven Knowledge Podcast. This is the Creator Series. Today I have a really great MC out of Chicago, Illinois. I believe I've been in touch with this guy for the last year or so, maybe even 2 years. He just dropped a new EP that we're going to talk about. Nehemiah Heckler is here. How are you, man?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Great. And like I said, man, thank you for, coming in on such short notice to do this episode. We literally just talked last night, and now we got it going and everything, and glad to get you on here and have you tell a little bit more about yourself and what you do. So, to start out, just give a little bit of basic information. How long have you been doing music? How do you get into it? What has the journey been like up to this point for yourself?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think I've been rapping, I'll take for serious, was about maybe 10 years. I've been doing it. And I've always wanted to inspire people with music. And that's what got me into it. That's what started the whole journey, really. I wanted to encourage my high school friends, and I felt like music was a really cool way to do that. And I've always loved it. I've always listened to it. I've been rhyming words ever since I was young, so I just figured it would make sense. And that's why I continue to do it today, to inspire people to do whatever they set their mind to. So I'm going to go after my goals, and hopefully people do the same.
Yeah. So that's pretty awesome. So how are you in college now, or where are you at in that?
No, so I didn't go to college. Nice. Actually. I went straight into work. I went straight to work, and I just didn't feel college was for me. Yeah. And that's not for everybody, but yep. I kind of knew what I wanted to do already, so I just went straight in and wanted to. I worked, but I just went straight into music head on, and haven't looked back since. Yeah. So. I'm a little older now. I'm 27, so past that. Yeah. Little age group.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely with you there, because the college thing didn't work out for me either. I tried it for a bit, but I was just honestly, I feel like if I spend this time focused on what I already have in mind, I think it's going to work out a lot better for me. And like you said, if you just have a job to fund that, it's that's honestly just the best bet if you already have something in mind and you can take your own route with it and just kind of go from there. So it's good to hear that that's kind of where you're at as well, with the whole music thing. So
yeah. I mean, I could have gone to Full Sail or a music industry, music school like Columbia or something, but there's not really too many places that can teach you how to rap. Yeah. Exactly. So yeah. And I didn't want to, the student loans and stuff like that. Yep. It's just how it goes.
So have you been in Chicago your whole life? Have you been based out of there forever, or did you move there?
Yeah, so it's I've been in suburbs of Chicago. I feel like I got my start, and I felt more community when I started doing shows out in Chicago. Yeah. I've sold out shows in Chicago. But yeah, my hometown is Elgin. That's my hometown. It's about 45 minutes away from Chicago. But it's a lot easier to say, it's a lot easier to say Chi-Town than Elgin, because Elgin can be in Texas, Elgin can be in other, areas. But yeah, I've always been here, and I probably always want to be here too. Yeah. I don't see myself really moving. I want to build up my city and build up the name of Chicago as well. So, um, yeah, I'm just going to continue to be here and build it up.
Yeah. Do you have you always viewed it as a place of like there's plenty of opportunity? Like from the outside looking in, I'd say Chicago is a pretty good has a pretty good like art scene overall, like not just music but art in general. So like has there always been great opportunities in the area for you, or have you looked elsewhere as
Yeah,
well, or
yeah. There's plenty of opportunity here. Whether you're doing, and there's a lot of people that are you're able to collaborate with.
mm-hmm.
So so whether whether you're doing open mics or you're opening for somebody or there's a showcase, like there's plenty of opportunity to do something. And yeah, I think just the big city feel. You're able to do so much more than if you were in the smaller city.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So you just released this EP, the Wovember EP. So I'm curious to know, how did that whole thing come together? What was kind of the inspiration behind putting together those tracks for the project?
Yeah, so Wovember is just a play on words because I have a movement called the Woe movement, and it's about doing what you say your mind to, and leaving people with that whoa feeling, that like amazing feeling, And so that's what I wanted to do with these songs. I wanted to create some songs that, like, I have a song called "Too Good to Forget." Like, I wanted to make that type of statement, that type of feel. So I have a song called "Too Good to Forget." I have a song called "Beautiful Feeling," that are just pretty much those songs that like you can listen to when you need that extra push, or you need something to vibe well with. And so yeah, that's why it's called Wovember. It's leaving people with those feelings. And then I also have a song called "Hold It All Together" off the project, which is telling my story about how I've overcome anxiety and depression and suicidal thoughts. And to know that, like, when you feel like giving up, when you feel you can't do it anymore, to hold it all together,
Yeah.
and everything will be okay. So yeah, I enjoy it. I enjoyed making every song with it. So
Yeah. So for songs like that, are you more like just kind of freestyling these songs to yourself and then just kind of going in and laying them down, or are you someone that writes pretty much in detail like how you're gonna structure these songs out?
yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. For this project, every song I was just at the studio um, and made it there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't write it on like my own time and then go to the studio. Yeah, every single song on this project was just like a 2 hour, 3 hour session. Um, yeah, start to finish. It didn't really take too long. With the 5 songs that are on it, it probably took maybe 6 hours in total. So I think a lot of my music is just whatever I'm feeling. Like, you normally get whatever I put out. Like, if there's not too many songs that don't make the cut. Like, whenever I put a song out or I'm making a song, like, you normally see it because it's how I feel.
Yeah.
So I want people to know that.
That's good though, because like I feel like a lot of people, they make a lot of songs and they're just afraid to put them out. You know what I mean? Because they're afraid that either someone's not gonna like it or they're not as 100% confident in it at the time. But it sounds like you put in the time to make sure you're confident in it, and then when you put it out, you're like, even if people don't like it, I'm confident in this song. You know what I mean? Like, this is the truth. This is my truth and everything. So
yeah, absolutely, because it's how I feel. It's not about how anybody else feels.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely.
I didn't make "Hold It All," like, even in the first line I say in "Hold It All Together," I don't make songs for critics or your analytics. Like, I make songs that, like, I enjoy. I make songs that, like, bring me back to a point in life where I felt like giving up, or I felt great, or I felt, it's how I felt.
Yeah.
So, like, critics are gonna talk about your worst songs and your best songs. Mm-hmm. Like, you're not gonna make music's so subjective that you're not gonna make songs that everybody likes. Yeah. So as long as you like it, I think you should be putting it out.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's always the way to do it. So you mentioned, going to studios and everything. Are you always recording in studios and doing that type of thing, or can you do it at your house as well? Like, do you hook up the laptop
Yeah.
and just kind of lay ideas down as well there, and then
Yeah.
kind of maybe go to the
Absolutely.
studio and do that.
Absolutely. When you said studio, or when I said studio, like it's hardly ever a big time studio.
Yeah.
If ever, like big time studios, like sometimes we can't even find the aux cord when we go. um, and a lot of since I'm doing rap and I'm not bringing in like a big band or anything, you don't need that much.
Yeah.
Like computers are so like the software and computers are so advanced right now that you can do so much just from your home.
Mm-hmm.
So I went over to my buddy's house, who lives just like I don't know 2 or 3 minutes away from my house, and then 2 of the other songs I recorded at like my buddy's studio. But again, there it's a booth and it's a laptop and it's a it's not, we don't have the fancy boards.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need that in what I'm doing. So, but yeah, I think that's so cool. I think that's the cool thing about music is that even Billie Eilish just records in her bedroom.
Yep.
Like
you can do so much with so little now, you know what I mean? Like back in the day,
right.
like I think people are still in the mindset like they see the big studios and everything. It's like a lot of people, even if they're in the big studios, they're not using the old equipment. They're just plugging in the laptop and just setting it on top of the freaking mixing board, you know what I mean? So
Right.
it's definitely like a different era and everything, but it's definitely a blessing to be able to do a lot with a little, because you don't, like you said, you really don't need more than just like a mic, a laptop, maybe an interface, and just your creative mind. You know what I mean? Like you just go from there and just see what you can do, see what you can create every day, and just start kind of dictating your own path, pretty much. I think that's where it starts. So that's definitely great stuff. Have you ever thought of producing? I'm kind of curious about that. Like, have you ever thought of like dabbling in like making your own stuff or making stuff for other people? Have you ever even like put thought to that, or you're kind of just sticking to raps for now?
Yeah, I love songwriting.
Yeah.
Like I just love it so much. So like that's where I want to like stay.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe at some point I'll produce. But like I don't know. I think it's like asking somebody to like take away something that they love so much and do so well, and then being like, hey, you should also maybe you should try to do this.
Yep.
So I'll probably stick to songwriting and everything and performing and being the artist, and then maybe one day I'll dabble into production. Yeah. But I want to continue to write songs. Yeah. I think that's my favorite part.
I feel like when you split like the attention span, it's almost like you're trying to be perfect at both, and you end up being perfect at none of them. So it's like it's almost a good thing to kind of just focus on one or the other, at least for the time being, to be like, I'm gonna get like really, really good at this, and then like for me, that's how I am with producing. Like I still have people who are like, have you ever tried like songwriting or anything? I'm like, I could write like an essay of something, but I can't like rhyme words or like put words together to make like a song. So I'm like, no, that's really not like what I'm good at. So I'm really just gonna focus on this and just get really good at this, become a perfectionist hopefully one day, or really good. And then maybe, if you ever get bored, just be like, man, maybe I'll try that. Like maybe, but I feel like you become a master of your craft when you're laser focused on at least one or maybe two things, but usually just one main thing. So, but that's just how I've always looked at it. Pretty interesting stuff though, for sure.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I have good producers. Yeah. Like I have, Mazin Ali and Zach Kranz produced my last project. Yeah. And they're incredible. Yeah. So
it's good too to have ears in on the process, because it's like if you're doing the whole thing yourself, I mean, I don't know if it's like if it gets stale to you, like when you hear it, like maybe you've heard it so much and then you don't get that outside opinion. I feel like when I make music with other people, you get that second hand in there to be like, maybe we should change this, maybe we should adjust this part, or like maybe you should rap at this part. And I feel like the product always comes out better, you know what I mean, at the end of it all. So
for sure, yeah, it's always good to have another ear.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a couple ears, and people that won't just say it's good.
Yeah.
Some people that are gonna push you, to be the best artist you can be. I think that always helps.
Yeah, no doubt. So I know you're on like Instagram and everything. I don't know how much you're on like social media for being an artist and everything, because I know obviously in today's world we have to push ourselves out to people and kind of promote our music and everything. How do you, as an artist, maintain social media with the rest of what you do in music? Like, how do you incorporate it in your brand and your movement and everything?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. Yeah, you're just there's so much to do as an artist, right? And
Yep.
that's one of the things that you have to keep up, especially since if you ever want to get signed, to a label or anything, like that's the first thing they're checking right now
Mm-hmm.
is like how your social media is, like what's your following like, and for me, it's not about like the likes, it's not about the comments or the shares. It's about like how are my fans like feeling,
Mm-hmm.
um, like are they sharing the story? Are they DMing me saying like your song changed my life?
Mm-hmm.
Um, or this was super encouraging. Like that's what I like using social media for, just to get that feedback
Yeah.
of like, hey, your song like meant a lot to me. Like you doing what you're doing. Um, because I'd rather have like 100 super fans that like care than having like 150,000 social media followers,
Mm-hmm.
and half of them are bots, and
Yep.
half of them don't even know I make music,
Yeah.
or you know what I'm saying. So like, give me like some solid fans, some solid engagement with my true like friends and family
Yeah.
and fans, and yeah, I'll take that any day.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's the thing. It's like social media was really designed for that purpose. I think it kind of got like infiltrated by the bots and by these like scammers and everything, and like they kind of ruined the idea of it. And a lot of like drama happens on there and everything. But it's like if you use the tool for what it's supposed to be used for, it can be pretty effective for you. And I feel like yeah, as an artist, like if you get just a few fans, that will eventually spread into more fans, and it's real people
Right,
actually being able to see what you're doing and what you're putting out there. And like you said, you get that feedback. You're like, okay, this is working. Like it's proof that what you're doing, like all the hard work, is paying off. You know what I mean?
for
And it's
sure.
like it's kind of like the equivalent to like I get, back in the day before social media, it was only word of mouth. You know what I mean? Like you would have to go
For
out
sure.
and kind of just go to local areas and everything, which obviously is still a big part. But now it's like you can get a lot of traction just from the social media aspect alone. So you can see in real time like people interacting with what you're doing and everything, and saying that they're a fan, and you see all the results coming in. So I think it's just one of those things where you really got to use it for the right purpose, because a lot of people, they just don't use it for anything constructive or to build anything. But I
Right.
definitely agree with everything you said about the approach, for sure.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, because you like, right, like if you had, I don't know, if you had $100, like there's sites that can get you 5,000 followers or 10,000 followers or
yeah,
whatever. But like, then what happens when you go to a show and no one's there? Like,
exactly. It's like
you know,
it doesn't
or
equate. It doesn't equate to anything real. You know what I mean?
right.
So
Yeah, like Instagram followers doesn't get me like paid.
yeah, yeah,
you know, like no one's paying me for the amount of Instagram followers I
yeah,
have. Like they're paying. Um, but I think you just, like I said, it's just all about the engagement for me. It's all about having like real people to follow,
yeah,
um, and not get too caught up in the numbers of like how many people like or how many people comment. Because if you do that, you start comparing yourself to other people
yep,
on Instagram or social media in general. Like that can lead to a lot of like trauma and,
yeah.
and anxiety. So tell people not to do that and just focus on yourself.
Yeah, it really makes you wonder, like 50 years from now, like we already know something's gonna change in how how the world works and everything. So right now it's social media that's the biggest thing. So it's like, what will be next? You know what I mean? Like how will
Right.
it probably won't be this. 9 times out of 10, it's not gonna be where we're at now. So it makes you wonder,
Yeah.
like
Well,
what's gonna
isn't it
be
gonna
the
be? I
yeah,
feel like I almost feel like what's next is like that virtual world.
yeah.
Unfortunately,
Yeah, because we saw
like
like Meta is becoming a thing now, and they're trying to do a lot of things with VR and different sides of that. So, you
right,
know,
right. Yeah, like what Travis Scott had the Fortnite
Yeah, the
concert or
concert.
whatever.
Yeah, yep. I think someone else
So
did that too. They had like a, I don't know if it was Fortnite, but they did something in like a VR space where they had like tickets and everything, and then you could be like see a stage or something. But yeah, I think
right,
it's definitely gonna move more toward that, and I think like the pandemic kind of progressed all that forward even more. Like I think you wouldn't have seen that stuff for another like 5 or 6 years, but because of like everyone being locked away in their houses and stuff, it's like that kind of got pushed to the forefront even more. So it's like here now. So
right,
it'll be interesting to
right.
see like where that goes or if it takes off like they think it's going to. But
Yeah, yeah. Like I feel like I'm, I'm thinking like even if I was to I was gonna go to a recording studio or something like you can like virtually like Zoom like be in there with me or
yeah,
whoever.
yeah,
Like I feel like that's maybe not like in our lifetime, but that's definitely coming
yeah,
at some point.
yeah. Because like I said, like the way I view social media, like I'm looking at it from like my perspective as an artist or like within music. So I'm like, I wonder how that's gonna work for like where we're at, like what we do. But it'll be very interesting to see how it plays out in the next few years. Um, so, you've been heavily rooted in music then for a long time. So I'm curious, like when you were coming up, maybe even now, who are you really listening to a lot that you are heavily influenced by? Like, who are some of your favorite artists now, or even back when you were a kid that really made you want to start rapping and doing music?
Yeah, for sure. I would say like J. Cole, Kendrick, like those are two that I like really like I am inspired
Yeah,
by. They always are telling a story. They're always they know what's going on around them. They're speaking into certain things. So those are two that I definitely I pretty much. I mean, I would say I kind of grew up on them like
yep,
early on, but definitely now, like I guess they're two of the top in the game. Depending on who you ask.
yep.
So definitely them. Kanye West, um, is huge. Obviously, just anybody that has something to say. I think those are the people that I listen to the
Yeah.
most.
The real heavy hitters, honestly. Like that's like three of the biggest in the world. So,
Right?
but
Yeah. Logic too. Logic was big.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, yeah, pretty much people that everyone, a lot of people will look up to.
yeah.
Um, that's like kind of how I get my sound and, um, you know, want to speak into topics like they are as well. So
Every time
that's who I
someone,
study.
every time someone says Kendrick on this show now, I gotta ask, when do you think the album's coming out?
No, I think it's coming like in the beginning of the new year. I think
I hope so. I
like I think
I
it's gonna
do.
be like
Cause like,
January 1st.
cause like he's back performing now. Like I saw he did that. I forget what festival that was a few weeks ago. Everyone was
Yeah,
talking
in
about.
Vegas, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was. I think it was the Day in Vegas thing, and he did like a set there for that. So I think it's coming in the next few months. I don't know if it'll be a surprise drop, because I think a lot of people are thinking that, but I don't. I think he might like announce like a couple weeks or like a week beforehand, and then like just give. I'm just curious how many songs it's gonna be, but
Yeah, I think. Yeah, oh, you got me going now. Yeah, I think it's just that he was gone for 2 years. Like he
yeah,
almost like fell off the face. Like
yeah,
he didn't have a phone for a year or so. Um, he was saying. So I don't think he would be performing, just for the heck of it. Like
yeah,
I think he's going to be performing to release, to get back into that flow, so then he can release it and then go back out on tour.
yeah.
His voice is needed. I wish we had it during the pandemic.
Yeah, he was, because I honestly thought he was coming back around that time, because I remember he did like the PG Lang announcement, and then that never
Hmm.
even like took off, and then the pandemic happened. So I'm kind of curious what all was going down behind the scenes, like around that
Right.
time. But I definitely think that 2022 will be a full-on Kendrick year for sure. Like people are gonna
Oh,
notice
no doubt.
regardless. So um, I'm looking forward to that for sure. Out of all the people you've worked with so far, like the producers you mentioned and some of the collaborators you've already done songs with, who do you think is like someone that you have a lot of chemistry with, maybe someone that you would want to work with again or that you already are working with again?
Oh, that's a yeah. I think my producers I'm working with now are so good. Like I said, Mazin, Zach, Groovebox, like they're all good, and they all in Walls too. He produced my whole Eon album. Um, like those four, they all do something different, but they all like are very good with like what I want to convey and the story that I want to tell.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like literally all of them. So I don't know. I'm kind of sticking with those four like right at this point. Um, but yeah, I'm always I, I always didn't work with them either. So somebody else can bring something to the table that also would fit a need that I would have too. So I never just closed the door.
Yeah.
I'm always just like, if you have a sound that you made, and you have a vision that matches my vision, like let's work together. That's how I feel. So
You always
it's
keep
not a closed door.
yeah, you always keep an open ear, pretty much.
Yeah,
Out
you
there.
have to.
Yeah.
You have to. And then there's there's new people coming up. There's people I haven't worked with yet. So yeah, like I said, if I like the sound and I like the vibe, then I'm going on it.
Yeah. It's so crazy to think that like uh, me myself, because I've been doing it like 5 years now. I always think about the amount of people that have started since then, and I'm like, damn, like it's been 5 years, but there's been so many more people that started music after I did that are coming up now. So it's like even from back then, there's 10 times the amount of people, and I view that as like 10 times the amount of opportunity, to collab with people and kind of connect with different people and just keep it moving. So I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
But
No doubt.
great stuff. So
Absolutely.
we mentioned like the pandemic and everything, and obviously we're already pushing almost 2 years since that started, which is wild to think about. So for you, how do you think you've gotten through like the last like year and a half of life in general? Obviously, you got your music career, but you also have a lot of other things in your life probably going on. Like, how has this whole thing played out for you? Have you grown from this whole experience, or have you faced any
Yeah.
hardships? Like, how's it been?
Yeah. No. It's been a hard 2 years.
Hmm.
Just for me specifically. That's why I made the song "Hold It All Together," like because of it. Um, but yeah, trying to raise a 2-year-old, like I raised a kid through a pandemic, and like that was hard. I lost it. I didn't lose a job, but just I quit a job just because it was too much, like too much work, and it was weighing on my mind, and yeah, so like not having jobs, not having trying to get all these pennies together to pay bills. You know what I'm saying? Trying to raise a family, trying to be a better husband. Like those are all things that I had to learn and balance that with a music career. Like that's already hard enough. But then you can't do shows, you can't do all the things that you were so accustomed to doing. So I think it made me stronger. Those hardships made me stronger, so I'm definitely appreciative. But yeah, it's definitely been tough. But yeah.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be interesting in like 20 years when we look back on it. Like we'll be like, man, we made it through that time. You know what I mean? Like it was
For sure.
definitely something that not a lot of people have ever lived through to begin with. But I definitely love like every time I ask that question, a lot of people are just like, we just find a way. You know what I mean? Like you just find a way to push through, no matter what's going on and everything. And I'm glad that you've been able to come through and still be making music and still be doing it and everything and being creative through all that. And I'm glad to see that it's still progressing for you and everything and where it's at. So congrats on all of that for sure.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, man. Yeah. And like you said, I think in like 20 years, we will look back on it and be like, we survived it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough year for everybody. Like you know that people are going through the same things kind of you're going through.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully it does make us stronger. Um, yeah, hopefully we can push through this all together.
Yeah. So, you just mentioned like doing songs that have a good like impact and meaning on people when it comes to that sort of thing. So, have you ever thought about what your overall lasting impact is going to be as an artist? Like when someone hears one of your songs or like your EP or something, what do you think you want them to take away from that at the end of the day?
Yeah, that they can go after their dreams, and that they shouldn't give up on theirs, and they shouldn't like give up on life,
Mm-hmm.
because there's so much beauty in it. Um, those are like I want my songs to like be the difference between somebody like not committing suicide and committing, like, you know what I'm saying,
Mm-hmm.
like, not doing that.
Yeah.
Going to get help for mental illness. Like those type of things.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to have an impact that just my community remembers as like he believed in me, or um, he believed in the community. He believed in positivity. Like those are the things that I want when you listen to a Nehemiah song. What I want to convey.
Mm-hmm.
So there'll be, of course, there's songs that are like fun and like turn up and like Brett, just give some good bars or whatever.
Yeah.
But majority of it is always going back to inspiring people to do whatever they set their mind to.
Yeah. Absolutely. Love it. So, like we said, just dropped an EP. What do you think your next move is music-wise? You got any singles lined up for 2022? You got an album maybe in the works? Like, what can we expect next from you?
Yep, the album's in the works. Um, yeah, probably just another album. Will be my seventh project. But yeah, I think that's the next push. I'm just getting more comfortable and I'm getting better.
Mm-hmm.
I believe at just making songs and creating like my brand and everything. So I definitely want to keep that going. So probably just another album.
Do you have any tentative release for it yet?
I do not. Hey, I see you trying to pull it out of me.
I was like, maybe a
No.
season, maybe like a month, maybe, but no, you gotta surprise it. You know what I mean? You gotta keep it under wraps for now.
Yeah. I mean, it won't be too far. I can yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even this Wovember wasn't really going to come out. But I just had 5 songs that I wanted to put out.
Mm-hmm.
So literally, I could drop an album in February, like just start it now.
Yeah.
But normally it's just, man, if I'm just feeling a song and I made a song and I want it out, like it's going to be out next week.
Yeah.
Like I'm not really big on like, this specific date or it has to be done by this date. It's more of a feel for me. Like if something happens in the news, or if there's like injustice, like that song's out tomorrow. Like it's just however. If I feel I need to speak to something, that's how I'm going to speak to it.
Yeah.
I think it's better to do that than just like tweet out a lot or Instagram out a lot. Like I put the songs out that last forever.
Yeah. And you can channel that emotion in that way, you know what I mean? As opposed to just doing that. It's like, for you, it's songs. So you just go in and write the song and then put it out and just see what happens. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
So you mentioned about, doing like how you couldn't do live shows and everything. Are you trying to get back into that now that things are opening back up? Have you done any shows?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. I've already sold out a show just in my hometown. That was in October. And then I have a couple of shows lined up for 2022 already. But yeah, I love shows. So being able to perform is a huge thing for me because people can actually like see see the emotion.
Mm-hmm.
They can see like what I'm going through. I can tell them the backstory and everything. So I'm very excited to go out there and do more.
Yeah. It'll be good to get out there and do all the new songs from the new album too when it comes out. That way you can kind of push that even more.
Absolutely. Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Even at my show, I did 4 unreleased songs because normally, like when you're doing songs, at shows, it's mostly unreleased anyway for people because people haven't heard it yet, or people are just starting to find out about you. So a lot of your songs are unreleased. So you might as well just keep doing majority of your unreleased songs.
I feel like that's a better way to get fans too. Is like if they're getting exposed to you in person, they're like they have a better connection to you already. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
right.
It's almost a more unique experience than just always finding people on like Instagram or something, or hearing the song.
No, absolutely.
But yeah. So that's good to hear. Glad you got that whole thing back going for you. So we're down to the last few questions here. These are 3 questions I ask everybody, every single guest, every week. So if you could go back 10 years ago, maybe give yourself a piece of advice, or maybe not change anything at all, what do you think you would do?
Well, okay, so I'd be 17. Oh, wow. To be honest, bro, I don't think I would change anything. Because everything I made, all those decisions I made at 17 are the reason, like, that's like what I said. That's when I started rapping, and taking it seriously. That's like when I decided not to go to college because I wanted to make music. Yeah. Like, that's when I started dating my wife. Literally, a lot of things happened at 17 that I would not change. So, I wouldn't say anything.
Yeah.
Just keep going. Believe in yourself. I guess that's what I would say.
So 10 years from now, then, where do you think you envision yourself in your life and your career?
10 years. Just happy. Like doing music full time, not doing music, and only doing music full time. Like, and helping out my community, even more so than what I'm doing now. Like being a figure in my community, somebody that like you want to go to when there's like some big things going down, or like getting input on should we do this or should we do that, from a community standpoint, and then just being able to do my music still. Like those are 2 of the big things, and just being a better husband, better father. Like those are the things I want to do in 10 years.
Love it, man. So do you have any final words of wisdom today for the listeners?
Just believe in yourself. Don't let anyone tell you you can't do something. And that's it.
Love it, man. Well, Nehemiah, that's all I have for you today. Like I said, appreciate you coming on here, giving some of your story on the platform, supporting, what I've been doing and everything. And I'm going to keep supporting you, man. Looking forward to the new album and everything you got going. Keep it up, bro.
Thank you so much, man.
Thanks, everyone, for listening today. That was episode 84. We'll be back this time next week. As always, hit the support button on your podcast streaming platform if you'd like to send any funds. And feel free to leave us that 5-star rating if you enjoyed today's episode. So we'll see you then. Thanks, everyone.